Welcome to our tips and features video on duplicates. This video is aimed at anyone who organises events and also provides individual support to their guests and participants. In the next few minutes, we will focus on the topic of duplicate records and a new tool in Eventanizer for merging duplicates. First of all, I would like to point out that the personal and address data you will see in this video is randomly selected test data that has no connection to real people. What exactly are duplicates? Duplicates are duplicate records in a database. In participant management, these are usually duplicate persons. Technically speaking, these are two or more records that actually refer to the same person. If a person is created twice, a system can no longer easily decide whether there are two different Julie Smith or whether it is one person who has been created twice. How do duplicates actually arise? The classic example is certainly the manual creation of duplicate contacts. To avoid this, you should always check whether a contact already exists in the system before creating a new one. This is especially important if several people are working in Eventanizer. The second most common source is the import of data. If you import data from an Excel table, make sure that no contacts are created during the import that already exist. To do this, Eventanizer offers you the option of selecting recognition fields in the import modules. For example, if you import a list containing first names, surnames, and email addresses, you can define these fields as unique. All persons will now be checked against these three criteria before import, and if recognized, will not be created again but updated. The third source of duplicates is the use of mixed events. If a guest can freely register for one of your events on a registration portal, this can easily lead to duplicate records. Here, too, Eventanizer helps by filtering out and merging people with identical first names, last names, and email addresses. However, if a person registers with two different email addresses, duplicates are created in the system. Duplicate personal contacts can now lead to duplicate invitations, confusion with registration links, duplicate histories, and much more in Eventanizer, which can become an increasingly serious problem from event to event. To get this problem under control, Eventanizer version 3.0.1218 and higher has a powerful tool that allows you to find and merge existing duplicates. To merge a person's data records, the existing data, as well as the assignments to events and their corresponding data, such as confirmation, cancellation, etc., are transferred together into a resulting data record. Only two data records can be compared and merged at a time. Therefore, if you have created a person 3 times, you must perform the merge in 2 steps. Since a merge transfers data from one person to another, special one-time properties, such as the registration link, become invalid and can no longer be used. In order not to jeopardize the invitation and event registration process, persons who are currently participating in an event cannot be merged. First of all, let's take a look at how we can identify and find duplicates. There are 2 ways to do this. Firstly, Eventanizer regularly searches for possible duplicate records in the background and marks them for duplicate handling. The main criteria for this search are first names and surnames in your contact list. Eventanizer uses this information to compile a kind of to-do list for your duplicate handling. Sometimes you may come across a duplicate yourself while working. A classic example is 2 contacts with different surnames, where the surname has changed due to marriage, for example. Eventanizer will not automatically identify such a person as a duplicate. In this second case, you must manually trigger the duplicate merge. Let's take a look at the pre-filtered duplicate merging method. In the Eventanizer menu bar, you will find the Duplicates menu item under the General section. When we select this, we get a list of all persons that Eventanizer has marked as possible duplicates. Using the small arrow, we can now view the recognized contacts. In my case, I have a Mr. Martin Brown who exists twice in the system. By clicking on the eye icon, I can view both the contact's detailed data and the history of which events the person has been invited to. In this example, we can see that our second person was invited to a different event. If I am now certain that these two contacts are indeed the same person, I can first select both lines by holding down the Control key and then merge the contacts. A decision dialog box now appears, asking for the data differences to be transferred. In my example, both data records contain differences in the fields email address, mobile phone number, and my field CV multi-line. I now select the content that I want my resulting contact card to contain and click on Merge. This merges my contacts and also combines the different event assignments in my example. We can easily check this by calling up the person again from the contact list and viewing the history. You will now see that the person is now listed in all events as formerly Mr. Brown 1 and Mr. Brown 2. If a person on the duplicate list is in an active event, they will be marked with a red status and, as discussed previously, cannot be merged at this time. Sometimes eventanizer marks a person as a duplicate, even though they are different people with the same name. In this case, you can permanently mark the persons as non-duplicates using the Remove from List button. These persons can then also be found in the Block Duplicates list, from which they can be deleted again if necessary. A very special case arises when a duplicate exists in the same event. In this case, different event data may have been created, which requires additional decisions to be made when merging duplicates. In our example, we had actively invited Mr. Walter James to a mixed event. Mr. James had registered via his registration form and, shortly afterwards, accidentally registered for the event again via a free registration. In doing so, he used a different email address. Let's reveal this in advance. The registration form for this event asked for a t-shirt size, among other things. As soon as we merge Mr. James in the duplicate tool, the system will compare the different file information and also compare the different information about the event. In this example, Mr. James had specified two different t-shirt sizes. We now select the desired resulting data and click on Merge again. In the last section, we will look at our example of the person with the changed name. For this purpose, there is a button in the duplicate tool called Merge Manually. A complete list of contacts is displayed, and in my case, it is best to search by first name or company name. We happen to know that Bettina Knar changed her name to Bettina Ulrich. I select both and click on Merge. We are already familiar with the process that follows and proceed as usual. This concludes our episode of Tips and Features, and we hope we have been able to explain this function to you in a simple and understandable way. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be happy to answer your questions personally or give you a deeper insight into Eventanizer. Contact us directly or book a consultation appointment right away at eventanizer.events. Thank you very much for your attention. Your Eventanizer support team.